Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are jumping right into this Watch Me Work where I'm going to be doing an icy wintry blue marble nail using this foil here, some ripped up foil, and this striping tape here. So I am starting off with this potted gel, and at first when I was doing this nail set I thought it was going to be really easy and simple because the design itself is quite simple. There isn't anything really too dramatic or crazy or out there when it comes to the actual design itself. However, there were so many things that were like just starting to like get in my way and just like giving me problems. I was struggling with the striping tape, I was struggling with the foils a bit just because the foil gel was so sticky and getting everywhere. That was primarily what my problem was. Everything was just so sticky, it just felt like everything was getting out of control. But the design ended up coming out really cute in the end, and I am really happy with it. So I'm starting off with this like minty green color over here, and at first when I was using it I was like, oh shoot, this is like too bright and summery. It was kind of making like looking a little bit like summery and bright, but when the rest of the design came together, it ended up definitely pulling in some of like the iciness with the other colors that were involved. And of course everything that I used I will have listed in the description box in case you were interested, so you can check that out if you were interested in which foils I was using. So here I'm just doing a second coat of the gel polish. I think actually on my thumb and my pinky I ended up doing 3 coats just to make sure the color was completely opaque, because on those nails I'm not going to be doing a full cover foil. The foil is only going to be on half the nail, but on my middle finger I was doing the full nail with a foil, so it didn't really need to be too opaque. And now moving on to this darker blue here, and once I added the darker blue to the set, it definitely took on a more darker, winterier vibe, which is definitely what I was going for. It's November now, and we're slowly starting to inch towards the winter season. It's still definitely very much fall. Winter only really officially hits in mid-December, but you know, starting to get into those colder, chillier months, so I definitely wanted something to feel, I wanted it to feel a little bit more wintry and a little bit colder and icier. And once I added this darker blue color, this navy blue from Glam, it ended up definitely taking on that vibe. So I am using this small cotton tip over here. This cotton swab is really small. I got it off of Amazon, and if you want I can link them down below in case you are interested. But it's actually great for nail designs and stuff because it's not too fuzzy, so it doesn't like get everywhere. So it's actually great size, and definitely highly recommend. So now I am wiping off the lighter blue nails with some alcohol and going on with my transfer foil gel. So the middle finger over here is going to have a full transfer foil, so I'm just covering the whole thing, and I did depot some of the foil gel onto my palette here and just using a smaller brush to cover up only half of the thumb and the pinky, because I'm only going to be doing half the nails with the foil. And I did a whole video on foils if you're struggling with them, and I'll have that linked in the corner and also in the description box in case you haven't seen it and you're struggling with foils, in case you want to check that out. But one of the tips that I have in that video is to let the foil gel kind of like cool down after it comes out of the lamp. So after giving it a cure, letting it cool down. So as you can see here, I am moving on to the next step while I'm waiting for the gel, the foil gel on my other fingers, on the fingers with the lighter blue polish, to cool down. So I decided to just make the best of my time and move on to the next aspect of my design. And this is where I was starting to struggle a little bit. Sorry I was a bit out of frame. It was like so hard to see what I was doing. This striping tape was giving me some problems a little bit, so sometimes I just had to like stick my face in it. You know, sometimes when things are just not going right, you just really gotta like get it up to your nose so you can actually see what's going on. But I decided to just go on with the striping tape to kill some time while waiting for the foil gel to cool down on my other fingers. And like I said, this was like when it was starting to get a little bit interesting because I realized that the foil gel on my nails was really sticky. I mean, you need it to be sticky to transfer the foil over, but I was still using my fingers and my hands to complete the design, because you know I'm doing it on myself and I need to use both my hands to accomplish what I'm trying to do. And all of a sudden I realized that like things were starting to stick to my foil gel that wasn't supposed to stick there, so I got a few like fuzzy sticking to the gel and stuff like that. So unfortunately, even though I was trying to save time, it ended up causing a little bit of problems later because the foil, I couldn't just leave my hand still, and it was starting to get a little bit all over the place. So I would suggest if you're working on yourself, maybe just like take the time to just let the foil gel cool down and do its thing, and maybe try not to multitask like I'm doing, because I ended up getting a little bit messed up and getting sticky foil gel all over everything. But I finally got that done, and I moved on to the foil, just using this silicone tool here to press out the wrinkles, and then going to remove the foil and get this beautiful, beautiful marble design. I really love how it came out. And over here on the nail, I'm just going to be doing half of the nail, like I said. So I'm just placing the foil only halfway over the nail. I'm not trying to be too specific about it. And the same on the pinky. And then I'm just using another one of these really, really small, fine cotton swab tips to remove some of the gel, some of the foil on this pinky. It kind of took up a little bit more of the nail than I wanted it to, so I just used some alcohol, and on this little cotton swab scrubbed away the area that I didn't want. And now I'm going to be using this striping tape again and moving and kind of like creating a separation between the marble and the rest of the solid nail. So just kind of using it there. And what I was realizing as I was doing this set is that I usually do my non-dominant hand first. So I am a righty, so I usually do the design on my left hand first because it's easier, and it's just easier to get that design done first using my dominant hand. But oftentimes what happens is the design actually comes out better when I move on to my right hand, because after working with my left hand and kind of struggling, as you can see here, oh my gosh, I was struggling with just this striping tape. It just didn't want to stick. It was getting all over the place. I'll be honest, I was starting to get a little bit frustrated. I was really getting a little bit mad, and it was sticking to everything that it wasn't supposed to stick to, and it was refusing to stick to my nail. But by the time I moved on to my other hand and started doing my right hand, I kind of worked out a rhythm and a process that actually ended up working much better, and I ended up having the design come out a little bit neater, I think, on my right hand, which is ironic because I'm using my left hand, my non-dominant hand, so you would think it would come out a little bit messier. But because I learned a lot of steps along the way, a lot of tips and tricks while just doing my first hand, I ended up coming up with some good ideas, and the next hand came out much better in my opinion, because I just came up with a better technique. So over here I'm just doing a base coat over the striping tape so that it lays flat and it creates it kind of seals it in. And then I'm going on with this kind of ripped up torn foil and just placing it down on a little bit on the marble design to kind of bring out a little bit of interest and kind of tie in the silver together with the rest of the design. And once I have that placed down, I'm actually going to go in with I got a little bit too much of the foil stuck down and I didn't want so much of it, so I used, again, this little cotton swab that I'm really, really loving. I'm going to link it in the description box. Like I said, it's from Amazon, because it really came in handy a lot in this design specifically. I just kind of kept scrubbing away at it. And then what I did afterwards with the striping tape, once I had kind of stuck it down and glued it down with the base coat, I kind of cut off the edges, and then I filed down the side so that it would be nice and smooth from any of the foil striping tape that was sticking off the sides of the nails. And now I'm going in with the Madam Glam No Wipe top coat to seal in the whole design. I am going to do a little bit more of filing to perfect the shape, but it's best to do that after, when you're done with the striping tape. You want to make sure the striping tape is secure and placed down under a few layers of maybe top coat, or like I did, base coat first just to make everything smooth, and then going in with a top coat before filing the edges, because you don't want to accidentally lift up the striping tape and then remove all the hard work that you just did. So here you can see I'm using just this small eyebrow scissor and cutting off the edges as much as possible, and then using a file to just perfect the shape and clean up the edges and cleaning up the tips. And now moving on to my other hands. So by this point, I kind of came up with a much better technique, and this hand is going to go much faster. So as I'm just doing this, I'm going to chat a little bit. I know if you have been on my channel recently, you might have heard that I was really interested in doing green on my nails next. I have been just so in love with green. Green is my favorite color, and I love wearing it on my nails, and I've gotten recently a bunch of new green gels from just different places, and I was so excited to use green on my nails. And for some reason, when I went to grab, usually my process for doing nails is I'll grab the color that I want, and then I'll open my drawers that have my glitters and my foils and my stickers and beads and charms and gems, and kind of pull out a bunch of stuff that inspires me and that piques my interest, and then I'll kind of just combine it, use it. Usually I'll sketch out a design, an idea, and then I'll throw it on my nails. And for some reason, I was just not feeling inspired with anything that I had. I really wanted to use this dark green color from Nail Order. It's a shade Dear John. If you saw my Autumn Equinox unboxing from Nail Order, that the green in that collection is stunning, and I really, really want to use it. But I also wanted to use foils. I was like in the mood for foils because I've just been loving them, and I wanted to have an easier design, which is ironic because this design ended up giving me a bit of a struggle. But regardless, I wanting to use some foils. I had like a concept in mind, but for some reason, just the colors of foils that I had and the gel, and I was just not feeling inspired. And sometimes when I don't know what to do, what I'll do is I'll open up like my stickers. I have like a little album of stickers or an album with my foils, and just kind of like get inspiration from what I have there. So like I'll see different color combinations together, or a specific color will jump out at me, and I was just trying to like get in the mindset of green. And it was not working. I saw a bunch of stuff, a bunch of foil stickers, everything that I was like loving, but nothing was just screaming at me to use, until I was flipping through my foils and I saw this blue foil, and it jumped out at me so fast. Like immediately my brain, my mind, my eyes, everything was just like, ooh, that's really, really pretty. But I kept trying to tell myself, no, we want to do green, we want to do green. So I kept veering away from it. And then I took a break, and I decided to refocus my mind and get out of the headspace of insisting on doing green. And I opened up my foils again to try to get inspiration with a clear mind. And again, this blue foil jumped out at me. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes you can't force inspiration or creativity. Sometimes it hits you. You can't rush art, and inspiration comes when it does. And I said, I think this foil is it's dying to be used. It's calling to me. So I ended up using this foil and doing this nail set. I still definitely want to do green. I'm still itching for green, but for some reason I just wasn't feeling it at that moment. So I decided to move on with blue, because blue is also another one of my favorite colors. And just the iciness and the colors of this foil was just so inspiring to me. I needed to use it. So that was my little inspiration rant. Sometimes if you're not feeling inspired by something that you want to do, maybe just take a break, move on, and kind of refocus your mind and allow yourself to maybe change your idea. You don't have to always go with your initial inspiration. You're allowed to change your mind and take things in a different direction, whether it's with doing nails, or if you're a writer or a singer or a songwriter or anything, or any kind of inspiration. If you're not feeling something and you are wanting to change your mind, definitely you have the permission, and you definitely have the right to change your mind, because, you know, when it comes to inspiration, you just got to take it when you got it, and trying to fight against it will not always work in your favor. So anyway, as you can see here, I kind of came up with a much better solution to this foil gel by holding the, not the foil gel, the striping tape, by holding it between my thumb and my was it my middle finger or my ring finger. I was able to get a much smoother application. You can see I'm definitely not struggling with it as much as I was with my other hand. So this definitely was a much smoother process, and I definitely enjoyed doing this hand more, because I was not as stressed out as I was before. So I'm just going to finish up the last bits of this design by encapsulating the striping tape under clear base coat, just so that it's like stuck down in place and kind of encapsulated on the nail so that it doesn't move around. And just going to trim off the edges by the cuticle and by the sides over here. As you can see with this, I was actually struggling with this. You can see her, oh my gosh, this eyebrow scissor was so hard to use with my left hand. My fingers were just not fitting in it properly. I was struggling with that, but I ended up getting it to work, and I just filed up the edges here, and now adding just a bit more of that flaky silver foil to add a little bit of dimension and interest to the nails. And when all of that is said and done and everything is top coated, I'm going to show you the final set in a minute. And the lighting is a little bit different when I show the final set, so I do apologize for that, but I actually had to film that the day later because I was filming this in natural lighting and it was starting to get a little bit dark in my room and it wasn't really coming out great. So this part is a little bit of a different lighting, but here's a final set. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!